many South Africans have noticed something rather strange. The lights have been on for longer periods of time with reduced load shedding. The Minister of Electricity briefing the media on the implementation of that energy action plan earlier, and he attributed this largely to lower energy demand. Let's chat now to energy expert and MD at EE Business Intelligence, Chris Yelland. Chris, great to have you with us as always. So it's getting a lot colder. But the demand for electricity is down, the minister tells us. Did he explain fully that reduction?
Well, he did explain some of the reasons. And just to recap, because a lot of people are asking, why is load shedding so much lower now when everybody's been saying that, the winter months are the worst months and we're going to go into stage 8 load shedding, etc. Well, history shows that, in fact, the winter months are not the worst months. Firstly, demand can go up in winter, and it does, but it's not going up as much now as it was doing last year and in previous years. And there are a number of reasons for that, including the weather. We've had a reasonably mild winter so far. But also, in winter, the wind resources are significantly better. The wind blows harder at the coastal areas in winter. That's contributing significantly to increasing the supply in winter. Similarly, this year and last year and the year before, there's been a quite significant increase in domestic rooftop solar PV and battery storage, not only domestic, but also commercial, agricultural. And this is helping to displace some of the energy that was previously procured by Eskom or supplied by Eskom. So that's reducing the burden that Eskom has to bear. And this is also helping. People are switching to gas cooking. So there's this energy switching taking place. And the other thing that we've got to remember about the winter months is that for the energy guzzlers, the large energy intensive industry out there, the smelters, the price of electricity triples in winter, even more than 3 times higher. And there's a very strong signal to energy intensive industry to actually reduce demand. And in fact, many of these smelters shut down to do maintenance in the winter months. So on the demand side, demand can be lower than expected. And at the moment, it is lower than expected, and that's helping. And at the same time, supply of electricity is improving in the winter months for a number of reasons. First of all, Eskom do less maintenance in winter. They do a lot of the maintenance in summer. And so there's more generation capacity available to meet demand. They also are better prepared. In other words, by doing the maintenance in the summer months, those generators are now ready to perform during the winter months. So you have better availability in winter for these reasons. So although demand may go up in winter, supply also goes up in winter to meet that increased demand. So it's not to say necessarily that we will have worse load shedding in winter than in summer. And if you look at the first time we had stage 6 load shedding, it was not in winter. It was in the middle of summer. In December 2019, we had stage 6 load shedding for the first time. And I think that's just trying to make my point, that we mustn't think that the winter months are the worst.
Well, this is fascinating. I mean, there were government officials warning about a worrying winter period. This is just a surprise, given the concern and the fear. Was there any word today, Chris, about a reduction in sabotage or suspected sabotage at Eskom? And I asked this in light of reports earlier this week that a senior official had been implicated conspiring with saboteurs with WhatsApp messages.
Firstly, on that particular subject, I want to say that we must be very, very careful of misinformation. There is a significant misinformation campaign out there to blame the wrong people, to blame people that are actually, in the security side of Eskom who are actually doing something about improving security. So we need to be careful of unnamed WhatsApp sources that can be, a misinformation campaign. I just wanted to make that point. The second point, no, not much was said about the security situation at today's briefing. However, the Minister of Electricity did say that high-level police, people, the highest level of the police are looking at this problem, and they will be reporting back shortly. There were questions asked about, whether Eskom was getting on top of this situation, and he kind of deferred the question to say that he would prefer to wait until the relevant police officials would come on and brief, the public, both through these NECOM briefings as well as in other forums. And he basically deferred the question to the police when they were ready, and he indicated that this would not be a long time off.
All right, finally, what about renewable projects? Well, you said that wind is working better, but what about the new projects? There's always this warning that it takes at least 2 years, even when a project is commissioned, for that to materialize. But there's been a pipeline for some time. Is government or somebody keeping track of the status of each and every project so we can see where we are?
Yeah, the best way of seeing what is happening is to go to the NERSA website, where there is a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet, showing month by month the new projects that are being registered. These are solar PV and wind projects, and they keep a schedule of these projects that are being registered. And if you just look at the trend over the last year, there has been a dramatic increase in the number of solar PV and battery storage and wind projects that have been registered. Now, some of these take 2 to 3 years to bring to the grid. Those are the bigger projects. But the rooftop projects at a commercial, industrial level, agricultural level, and most importantly at a domestic level, which don't even need registration. So that is not being tracked very, very effectively. But at the commercial industrial level, they are being tracked. You can see massive progress, but there is a time lag between registration and power to grid. The real wins right now are coming from, they kind of below the radar. In other words, they're not being monitored or tracked by NERSA, the so-called commercial PV and battery storage. And that we can get an idea of the size of this from the imports of batteries and solar PV panels, because the majority of these, you can separate the utility scale public procurements from the domestic procurements, and there is a very significant amount of battery and solar PV panels being imported into South Africa, and you can see the volumes, typically 1,500 megawatts a year and growing. Now, that makes a big difference over 2 years, a very big difference. And we could be doing so much more. That's why the Minister of Electricity said in the briefing today, they are having meetings with the officials from Vietnam who are sharing their experiences on how they brought 9,500 megawatts to the grid in 1 year. Of course, it's a success story. But we shouldn't underestimate that there are also problems, and we can learn from the experiences of other countries. And I'm very impressed, actually, with the work that has been done by the new Minister of Electricity, a multifaceted work, crossing all kinds of activities from energy efficiency, demand-side management, new generation capacity, solar rooftop PV and battery storage, domestic level, commercial, industrial, agricultural, and utility scale. It's all working together.
Chris, thank you. I was going to say, is this all encouraging? But you have outlined that some encouraging news that we need badly. Eskom, by the way, currently implementing stage 3 rolling blackouts. It says stage 1 will be implemented until 4 o'clock tomorrow. That was Chris Yelland, energy expert.